Welcome back to the TL23 YouTube channel, and today guys we are back with the Yamasaki YM50-RE. Now today we're going to be doing a comparison between the Yamasaki YM50-RE, the Aprilia RS50 and the Rieju RS350. Now all three bikes are sport bike 50cc's and pretty much your only options if you're looking to get a sport bike and you're on a CBT A1, 16, 17, etc, etc. So right in front of me here, the Yamasaki YM50-RE. So I'm going to briefly explain why I got the bike, why I chose it over the other two, pros and cons of each one, and how to help you decide. So the Yamasaki YM50 versus Aprilia versus Rieju. Now all three bikes are good, yeah, so you can't really go wrong with either three, but there are some major differences that you should be aware of if you're going to pick one up. So first off, if you're going to buy one, the Yamasaki is the only one you can pretty much get brand new. The one that I'm riding right now is 2022, the latest model they have, and each year there's new improvements and updates and new color schemes that you can get. So if you're looking for a brand new bike, well, there's your answer, Yamasaki. If you don't mind getting second hand, and there are some good second hands out there, then you're now open to the Aprilia and the Rieju. So the Aprilia, they stopped making that a couple of years back because of Euro 3, Euro 4 emissions. So you can be looking to buy anywhere between a 2012 model to a 2020. The thing with Aprilias is that there's not much change between each year, so it's pretty much just finding one that's in your price range and that is in good condition, because these bikes are racer bikes and people often find that there are a lot of damages within your Aprilia, so try to get the newest one possible. But 2020 is pretty much the latest one you can get. Now with the Rieju, technically they still make the bike, but it's not really possible to buy it brand new. So Facebook Marketplace, Gumtree, Auto Trader are your best bets when finding those bikes. And same with that one, you're looking at ranging between 2012 to about 2017, 2018, maybe a 2020 model if you can find one. So that's mainly that. If you want a new bike, the Yamasaki is your only real option. Our next big difference between all three bikes is the stroke. So what I'm on right now is the 4-stroke, as you can hear. 4-stroke, absolutely beautiful sound. And the other two bikes are 2-strokes. Now you must be wondering, what's the 4-stroke, what's the 2-stroke, what's the difference? Well, long story short is how they make their power. So a 4-stroke, it'll cycle through 4 times before releasing out power. A 2-stroke cycle through 2 times, then releases the power. So naturally, you can put in essence, a 2-stroke will make twice the power because it'll cycle around twice as many times. So that's why you see Aprilia RS50's Rieju's going super fast. So you're thinking, cool, I want a 2-stroke then. They're faster. Yes, they are faster. They're faster than this 4-stroke right here, no doubt. But here's the downside with the 2-strokes. If you're one of those people that care about the environment, and green 2-strokes aren't the healthiest and they put out more CO2, that's why they don't make them, because, you know, emission, they don't make the Euro 5, Euro 6 laws. Now, the sound, as you heard, my 4-stroke sounds really deep. No matter what 2-stroke you get, is it a dirt bike, supermoto, sport bike, all 2-strokes are going to have that tinny sound. That's why you see all mopeds that you see going around and going nee, nee, nee. That's a 2-stroke, okay? You don't really see that many 4-stroke 50cc mopeds around. You don't really do that. It's mainly 2-strokes, okay? And so that's where you get that teeny sound. If you hate that teeny sound like me, then a 2-stroke really isn't for you. That's why I went with this bike, really, because I love the sound of the exhaust. I'm someone that wants people to think I've got a bigger bike than I do. This bike is like a 300, looks like it's a 600, sound like a big bike. This was perfect for me. So if you don't mind the tinny exhaust, then the 2-strokes aren't that bad, and they do go faster. They can get higher top speeds, higher acceleration, higher torque, because they make power easier. So that's something to keep a note. And I say faster, I'm talking about a good like 20 miles per hour. Okay? Certain bikes, brand new or used. So because the Yamasaki you can buy new, you can get warranty on this. You might find 2020 models or 2021 models with like some warranty left on it. Or if you buy it brand new, then you can get 1 year to 2 years warranty depending on the manufacturer. No manufacturer, the dealership, sorry. So if you're already keen on warranty and repairs, that's something you should go for. Because I know if I had a problem with my Yamasaki, I can call them up, get all the replacement parts, get help servicing, all of that. So that's really big for me. That's why I'm not really going for the Yamasaki, because I have support if you go with the Aprilia or the Rieju and you have a problem, you're gonna have to be scouring eBay or just any random Chinese website trying to find something to trying to find help. Reddit forums are a good place to look at, but you're gonna be kind of screwed. Basically, you're gonna be screwed on what to go for. So if the warranty is the big thing for you, then go with something like the Yamasaki. When it comes to price, that's something big factor for most people. Bikes are expensive, bikes can be cheap. Now if you want a really cheap bike, none of these are for you, I'm afraid. You want to go for a moped, one of those like small tinny mopeds. They're really good, but for me, I've been on one. I'm 6'4". There's no way. My feet were sticking out like this. I couldn't fit. So if you're a smaller person, then you can go with that option. But for me, that wanted a bike, I would either start with a supermoto or a sport bike, and I'm a sport bike kind of guy, so this is where I'm at. But when talking about price, here's to note: the Rieju is the cheapest of them three. Okay, you'll be finding them for a good price, but bear in mind their age doesn't make the price change, because all the three bikes hold their value really well, which is a good thing when you're selling it. But when you're buying it, honestly, it's a sucker, because you'll be seeing 2014, 2012 bikes going for £3,000. Yeah, and that's a lot of money. Okay, the Aprilia is the most expensive of them three, because it is the non-Chinese brand. Aprilia is an Italian brand, really famous, really good. It comes with that build quality memoir. You think of Aprilia, you think of really good, and so that's why they hold their value really well. You'll see in 2012, 2014, like I said, going for such a high price. The Yamasaki is in between, so you'll see them, because it's still a Chinese brand, but it's not as bad. Now it's one of the Chinese brands that's UK supported, so the dealerships come from the UK, and so they have a lot of support when it comes from actually making and designing the bike, and upgrades and changes that come from it. So it's almost like a mix between the two. Okay, but technically it's still made in China. The factories are in China and Taiwan. That's something to note. But then again, Chinese bikes have gotten better. I can say that for a fact with this bike. This is on Japanese level quality. The Aprilia and the Rieju, I can't really say the same for. The Rieju is 100 through and through Chinese bike. There's pretty much no support for the bike, but if you really like the bike, you can go for it. If you're looking for help and support, then the Aprilia will be the one to go for in community wise. That had the biggest community, it's been around the longest. Honestly, you can find a lot more help, a lot more support, and a lot more upgrades for the bike. The Yamasaki community is really small. A couple posts on Reddit, and that's about it. YouTube is pretty where the biggest community is. On my channel and another channel called Nathan Barden, those are where your community really is, and that's pretty much it. So if you're looking for somewhere like for really big help, then that's pretty much it. Rieju, your community is pretty small, I'm afraid. You're looking at Reddit, Facebook groups. That's pretty much it, I'm afraid. You're on your own. Pretty much a matter of what bike can you afford, okay? If you want a two-stroke, go for the Aprilia. If you can't afford the Aprilia, go for the Rieju. And that's pretty much how I say it, okay? The Rieju is just a cheaper version of the Aprilia, yeah? Still a two-stroke. Both of them have really good mods. You can get big ball kits, you can get upgrades, exhaust. No matter the exhaust you get on a two-stroke, it's still going to sound tinny. It'll be a better tinny sound, but it's still going to be tinny. It's not going to have that deep rumble of the Yamasaki. Would you want a slower bike but a better exhaust, or would you want a faster bike with a worse exhaust? Ask yourself that. Whatever your answer is, go there. If you want a slower bike, go for the Yamasaki, but it has a better exhaust, more support, all that kind of stuff. If you want a faster bike and you don't mind the tinny sound of the exhaust, then the Aprilia and the Rieju are the one to go for. I can't say this for the Aprilia and the Rieju, but I know for certain with the Yamasaki, you can change the engine, because the Yamasaki frame, because of the Chinese bike, you want to cut costs as many places as possible. And so for the Yamasaki, the frame can hold up to 300cc engine, because they sell a 300cc Yamasaki in China. And so if that's what you're looking for, then that really is your best bet. Why I picked the Yamasaki over the Aprilia and the Rieju is the size. Like I said earlier, I like the bikes that look bigger, make it look more serious, get taken seriously on the road. The Aprilia and the Rieju are smaller bikes because they are designated for 50cc, 16-year-olds, riding. The Yamasaki on the other hand, like I said earlier, designed for bigger bikes. So it's a bigger frame, which means that it's a bigger bike, it looks bigger, it feels bigger. If you're a smaller rider, the Yamasaki might be a bit big for you. It's a heavy bike and it might be a bit big for you. The Aprilia and the Rieju you can fling around easier, they're smaller, they're lighter, which also helps why they're faster as well. The Yamasaki is rather heavy and you might topple it over, so be careful with that. I've seen a lot of people drop these bikes in the garage. Now me, I'm 6'4", and you know, the bike, I'm not gonna lie, it is heavy when at very slow speed moving around, but what I find, if I sit on the bike, then it's not a big issue, and I haven't dropped it once, so you know, congrats to me, I guess. So another thing, the Yamasaki now, when you get the bike 2019, 21, 22, it's a newer bike, so it's going to have better electronics. Okay, as you can see here, we got a nice digital dash, and we got an analog rev counter, but it all looks modern. Okay, all the electronics around here, it looks modern, it looks nice and clean and crisp. That being said though, the others do not have as nice of electronics. The Yamasaki, as I said, has nice digital, just looks cleaner, as I said. However, the Aprilia and the Rieju can't say the same. Now, when it comes to the Aprilia, it does have an analog digital mix like the Yamasaki. However, it is not nice as the Yamasaki. The Yamasaki one looks nicer overall. Now, if electronics isn't your big preference, then it doesn't matter too much, I guess. But for me, I like the look of, because I'm looking at it every day, I like the look of something that looks nicer. And so the Yamasaki, to me, it looks nicer. The Rieju is more analog than anything else, and it looks more cheaper to say, but again, it is an older bike, so you know, you get what you get with that kind of age. Okay, so if electronics aren't really your thing, then it doesn't really matter too much for you, then that's okay, go with either one. But the Yamasaki, like I said, has better electronics, then it'd be the Aprilia, then it'd be the Rieju. Neither three have any electronical rev counters or anything fancy like that. They're all, in the grand scheme of things, basic, but they all do the job at the end of the day, so it's not too bad. Okay, so as I come through this video, you pretty much kind of have a rough idea of which bike you want. Okay, your biggest thing now is going to be insurance and what you can afford. Okay, and if you don't mind getting a brand new bike or not. Okay, and so, like I said, if I'm going to break it down as simple as possible, if you don't mind the tin exhaust and you can make use of the extra speed, get the Aprilia. And if you can't get the Aprilia, if you can't afford it, if it's not available for you, get the Rieju. Okay, if you want a more reasonable bike, a more sensible bike, and it lasts longer and it sounds better, I say buy the Yamasaki. Okay, the Yamasaki will last you longer, it's more reliable, you can, more help will be with the bike, it's just a better bike overall for your money. And that's why I went with the Yamasaki for myself, because new rider, it's a bigger bike, I like the exhaust, I like the electronics. It was just for me, it was for me. I'm not gonna lie, for a good couple of years I wanted the Aprilia. The Aprilia was the one I wanted to go for. You'll always be changing your mind constantly, you'll never know for certain what you want, but it's just a matter of, you know, what can you get, what can you afford. And yeah, the Aprilia was just way too much money for me. Didn't make that much sense paying £3,000 for a 2014 bike when I could pay less for, you know, a brand new bike. And so that's what I did. I went to the dealership, called them up, and got myself a 2022 model, just like that, in the colour I wanted, everything that I wanted. And so that's just something you got to decide for yourself. Okay, so to pretty much sum things up, if you don't mind the tin exhaust and you can make use of the extra speed, so some you live in country roads and you know you can get the extra use of the speed, you got 50 mph which aren't motorways and it's still illegal, then go for the Aprilia. And if you can't afford the Aprilia, go for the Rieju. Pretty much simple as that. Now for me, for example, I couldn't afford the Aprilia. £3,000 for a 2014 bike didn't make much sense when I could get a 2022 Yamasaki for less than that price. It just didn't make sense to me. So if you want a more reasonable bike, a more sensible bike, lasts longer, you got a better community with it, and it's more sensible, sounds better, then honestly, the Yamasaki will be your choice. So that's pretty much it. As you can see, that's why I got the Yamasaki YM50-RE. It just had me written all over it. It's a great bike. I've done a good amount of miles on it. It's not slow, it's not as fast as the Aprilia, as I said, but hopefully this has helped you make your decision. Leave any questions you have down below. But that's it for today's video. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.